There are many random things in Apex that you've probably never seen because they were in the game for such a short amount of time, including a really rare select animation, 2 point of interest that weren't even in the game for a season, and a mode that only lasted 1 day but has massively changed the backbone of the game. The rare select animation though, this appeared in an LTM that not many people played, as when the Uprising event started in Apex, Respawn introduced a mode where you could play one of 2 teams. You could play on the Legend team or the Revenant army team, where everybody on this team had an exclusive Revenant skin that was only available while you were playing the Rev army team. You couldn't equip it outside of this mode and could not pick up weapons, they could only melee. And the Legend team had to stay alive until an evac ship arrived, and when that ship arrived, Legends had to get onto the ship. If they died, they would join the Revenant army team. This mode essentially was a recolor of Shadowfall, but not only did this mode have an exclusive skin that we've not seen to this day, but it also had an exclusive select animation for the Revenant team. If you joined the Revenant team, you would see 1 Alpha Revenant with red eyes and 2 Rev army Revenants with yellow eyes, and the Alpha Revenant would be holding the Caleb Cross head, which is insane, as if you're not aware, Revenant himself is being controlled by this head. This was the first time we ever saw this head in game, and also we never saw this select animation ever again, and we likely won't ever again, as this LTM was a lore LTM, and also if Respawn wanted to bring back this evac mode, they would probably just bring back Shadowfall, the mode the Revenant army mode was based off. Here's something though that only lasted a few weeks, and I have never heard anybody talk about. I feel like this is some sort of fever dream memory I have, but apparently it did exist, and it's really hard to find gameplay of. This is the Olympus preview mode. This was only available for the first few weeks of Season 7 where Respawn introduced Olympus, and this mode was so strange because you would drop, and you could drop anywhere you wanted to on the map, but you could not fight enemies. You could like bump into and interact with enemies, but you couldn't fight them, which was so strange. This mode was literally made for players to walk about Olympus and just take in the sights. And the weird thing is, despite releasing maps before and after Olympus, Respawn have never done a preview mode ever again. The weird thing was, in this mode there were only 30 players per lobby that you could bump into but not damage or kill, which was so strange. What was the point of adding weapons or even making friendly players visible? Here's the even weirder part of this mode. It had a zone that would close, and when the zone was coming to the end, you would get a notification that the dropship had arrived. And this wasn't one of those small ships, but the actual dropship from the start of the game would just hover over the end circle and like pick you up before the circle ended so you wouldn't die. This mode is such a fever dream. Like, if you sent this screenshot to anybody, they would not be able to name the LTM this is from. And I distinctly remember getting like 10 minutes into this mode and then just getting bored because you just walk around a map. Okay, it's a map, cool. Here's something though that you may not know existed unless you played the game during a 3-season period. As in Season 5, Kings Canyon had a map update, and this map update was archaeology themed, and the biggest part of this map update was the fact that School Town was blown up. It didn't exist anymore until it came back in Season 15. But the strangest and most forgotten part of this update were the underground bunkers, which were whole underground areas which now don't exist anymore. There were 3 bunkers, there was one here, and one here, and they can actually still be seen today, just covered up. Back in the day where they were accessible though, they started closed, and you had to press a button on the outside to open them up, and when you opened them up, you had a giant drop into an underground bunker where you could charge your ultimate through the charge towers and also find plenty of cool loot. There was one issue with these bunkers. They were massive choke points. If a team knew you were in there and decided to camp the bunker, you were screwed on getting out. Although one of the bunkers had a weird quirk. It was only partially underground, as the mountain this bunker was built inside had partially crumbled away, which had revealed the bunker from the outside. So you could actually enter this bunker without entering through the hatch, but you had to make a risky jump down into it. This would mean though, you would be sealed inside the bunker, and there was a button inside where you could open it up from the inside out. These, unfortunately, were closed up in Season 8 when the Season 8 Kings Canyon update came out. I assume because not enough people used them, and once again, there were massive choke points which disrupted the flow of the game. And not many people remember these, as they were a pretty secret addition, and even at the time, many people didn't know where they were. They had to be revealed on YouTube by YouTubers. Speaking of random weird map things, originally a big part of Olympus was on on World's Edge, as when the Season 6 update dropped for World's Edge, Respawn added a new point of interest called Launch Site, and at the time, Launch Site had a giant rocket sitting on it, which is not present today, and that's because this rocket only stayed for one season until the end of Season 6, where it was removed and then revealed in a cinematic that this rocket took off and then took the Legends to Olympus. Not only did it take the Legends to Olympus, but it also docked and then became this point of interest on Olympus, which is so damn crazy. So in Season 6, we were fighting around what would become part of a future map. Also, not many people remember there was even a ship at Launch Site because it was so short-lived. The most short-lived point of interest in Apex, though, was Olympus Docks, that only lasted half a season, from Season 7 launch until the Season 7 collection event, where Docks was replaced with the Pathfinder Ring. Luckily, I did have some pretty crazy memories in this area. Because Horizon had just released and we didn't have legends like Valkyrie, we were only just discovering verticality within Apex, and a lot of people discovered if you play Horizon and use her tactical, you could actually get on top of the cargo crates, which would make us a very devious rat spot. Like I said though, this point of interest barely lasted 2 months. Rest in peace. Speaking of long lost map features, an honourable mention goes to the World's Edge train, which only lasted 3 seasons as well. This was such a cool feature of Apex, a train that will go around the map that you could stand and fight on. Luckily, Respawn realises that people really enjoyed this train, and on Christmas every year they bring the train back as a mode. Onto an LTM though, that only lasted for 1 day, but is a big part of the game today. What is this? Well, in Season 8, Respawn released an event called War Games, where they planned to release loads of different LTMs that only lasted a few days each. And one of these LTMs was called Second Chance, and this mode was literally a beta form of revivals, and it was pretty revolutionary at the time. Basically, whenever you died, you would float up into the air and then respawn. When you died for the first time, your death box wouldn't actually be lootable, it would just glow green and enemies could not loot it. When you died the second time, your death box would be lootable. Now clearly this was a very early version of revivals, which later became such an integral mechanic in Apex, they put it into a permanent mode. But unfortunately, after only half a day of this mode being active, Respawn had to remove it because there was a glitch regarding the kills in it, which essentially led to people's KDs getting absolutely drained. So not many people got to experience this very early version of this mode. There's an even stranger thing not many people got to experience, as when Season 6 released, not only did it release with Rampart and a map update towards Edge, but also it introduced Evo armor into the game permanently. Before, Evo armor, aka armor that will be upgraded by doing damage, was limited to LTMs, but Respawn decided to make it permanent. But to balance it when making it permanent, they removed 1 cell from every armor level. So, white armor became a 1 cell armor, blue armor became 2 cells, and purple armor became 3 cells. And not only did this look absolutely cursed, but it also completely messed up the time to kill of the game and led to many complaints. There were that many complaints, Respawn ended up reverting this change only a week after it released, and they decided to keep the Evo armor, but revert the armor values to their original cell count. And it's so weird to think, if people didn't kick up a fuss all that time ago, we would have white armor with 1 cell. But to be fair, back in this period of Apex, when you landed off the dropship, you would not have armor by default, you had to find white armor on the ground. I think this version of Apex right now is definitely one of the best, especially looking back. But do you remember any of these rare events? I'm sure you don't remember the Olympus preview, and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Also, use my code